All right, everybody, it's Anthony Morrison, and I want to welcome you to our email marketing module. This one is about subject lines. So like I told you in the last video, really important part of email marketing is your subject line, because that's the first thing that your clients are going to see. That's the first thing your subscribers are going to see is the subject line. If they don't respond to the subject line, well, then they're not even going to read the email, which means it doesn't matter really what the copy says. It doesn't matter what you say in your email, what you're promoting, how much money you could make from the offer. All that stuff is irrelevant if they don't actually open the email. And the subject line is what helps them to open the email. So here are some key points. All right, you'll want to write these down. You'll want to keep these with you as you're writing emails. Okay, very key points. Number one is in your subject line, you want to use the first name code. Now what that is whenever you're asking people to join your mailing list, typically you ask them for their name and their email address. All of the email platforms have a little code that you can use that will actually place the person's first name into the subject line of the email. So you could, for instance, down here, and we're going to go through these examples in a minute, but one of the examples I have is your bank account in 2011 first name. So if this email went to somebody named John, it would say your bank account in 2011 John. It's very personal because they feel like the email is written specifically for them. It must not be junk email because it has their name in it, right? Very, very key. You always want to use this first name code in your actual subject line. Number two, ask questions. When you ask somebody a question in a subject line, it almost just dares them to click the email and see what it is, right? Like if you were to ask the question, I don't know, how is your business doing, John? Or how are you today, John? Or did you send me this, John, right? So John's like, wait a minute, did I send something? Let me see what it is they want to know if I sent it to them. Asking questions intrigues people, so they're more likely to open the email. Split test always. This is a key point here. You always want to be split testing. What split testing means is always change your subject lines up until you find the best ones, right? Never just settle for a subject line that gets a 3% open rate if you haven't tried other subject lines. Always read your reports, right? This is real key. If you're reading your reports, which are provided to you by Aweber, iContact, all these different email platforms, it's going to help you to determine the open rates for each of these subject lines. So like we talked about in the earlier video, subject lines directly correlate to opens. How many people actually are sent the email versus how many people actually open the email is a direct reflection on the subject lines you use, right? So some of the things you can use in your subject lines to help you get more opens, okay? Right here. Number one, use emotion, right? Be emotional in the subject lines. Play off people's emotions. Use odd things, things that just make no sense, crazy. Things that are crazy, insane, make no sense, but they pique the imagination, right? They pique interest. People want to know, what is this? If you make it real personal, the more personal it is, the more people are going to open it, right? So emotional, personal, odd, crazy, kind of off the wall, but intriguing subject lines are going to get more opens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually give you a glimpse into my business, into what I do. I rarely ever share this kind of information with anybody, but obviously you have purchased this course, you're going through it right now. I want you to have just vast knowledge, right? I just want you to have as much information as I can possibly give you on how to create success with this. So I'm actually just opening up my playbook. This is some of the emails I've sent to my list. And here's what's really interesting. The first one said, first name, we need to talk. So I was basically piquing their interest, right? I've used the first name code, right? Because now I'm personalizing this email. And then I'm just telling them we need to talk. It's almost like a command. We need to talk, right? This email got 15.2% open rate. So I'm just going to go on and label this for you now, an open rate. All right, got 15.2% open rate. Pretty good. Check this one out. The next email that I sent out to the same list, the subject was most dangerous website in the world. that got 16.1% opens. Look, all I did was I used something that really piqued emotion. It intrigued emotion. People are like, what? They're interested. The most dangerous website? For reference, I split tested, and I used the word profitable instead of the word dangerous. I used the word profitable. My open rate went down to 15%. I lost a full percent of opens when I took the word dangerous out and switched it out with the word profitable. Again, really important that you're always looking at every little word because it can make a huge difference in how much money you make. All right, the next one was your first dollar of 2011, first name. All right, that got 19.7% open rates. But I got extremely personal. I'm talking to you by your first name about the first dollar that you're going to make in 2011. That is a very personal email to send. And as you can see, the open rate reflects that, 19.7%. That's a full, really 3.6% difference from email number 2 to email number 3, right? Now, look at email number 4, your bank account in 2011, first name. Key points here, first name, bank account. I'm talking to you about your bank account. That is as personal as it can get, right? Well, that email got 20.1% open rate. 20% of the people opened. As you can see, from email 1 to email 4, we've already increased our open rate by 5%. Okay? 5%. Keep that in mind. Now, the last email on the list is, this is not an email. That's the whole subject line. Nothing personal, just that this is not an email. That is completely crazy because it is an email that you're sending to them, right? Now, you're not lying to them. You're just saying this is not an email. When they open it, the content might say, this is a very urgent message, not to be misconstrued as just another email, but it's a really urgent message for you. We want you to read this blog post or click this link. So you can play your content off your subject line so that it makes sense. But this email got 23.2% open rate. From the first email that we sent to this email, we're at about an 8% difference in the amount of people that actually open the email. So this is not 5%, it's actually 8%. 8% difference in open rates is huge. Think about it. For every 100 people on the list, another 8 people were actually opening the email. So if you've got a list of 1,000, well then you've got 80 more people opening the email. But if you're like me and you've got a list of, say, 100,000, well, think of how many other people are actually opening that email, all because this subject line made more sense than that one, right? So, subject lines are extremely important. They're a very vital part of this business. You need to constantly be testing new ones, always be trying new techniques and new strategies to entice people to open your emails so that in the end, you've got the most people possible viewing the content. Now, in the next module, I'm going to talk to you about the content, because if you get 1 million people to open the email, but nobody clicks on the affiliate links, well, then you're kind of out of luck, right? You're in the same position. So we take this step by step, one thing at a time, piece by piece. The first piece of the puzzle are these subject lines. You want to make sure that you use all of these things that I've taught you through here as references and guides to your list, but your list is going to respond differently than my list. My list responds this way. You've got to split test to see how your list will respond. So build your list, start sending emails, always be changing up the subject lines and determining, does your list respond to a lot of emotion? Do they respond to kind of crazy, outlandish subject lines? Or do they respond to more personal references in the subject lines? And then once you figure it out, you can kind of hammer in on that, hone in on it, and then start sending people emails, obviously, that they're more likely to open, because in the end, that's going to make you more likely to make money. So, good lesson on subject lines. Write all this stuff down, and then make sure to join me on the next video in the module so that you can learn how to write the best content to generate the most click-throughs, to in turn generate the most money from your efforts.